Assalamu alaikum girls, this is part 2. We'll start from example, here are the answers for Got It 3C and Got It 3D. So have a look at that with all the working out. I've missed out some steps because I hope you're faster at it now. See if you got the correct answer. So we've got an answer of 1,500 and an answer of 700 for D. So 1,500 for C and 700 for D. If you have any questions on that, just get in touch with me. Okay, so for example 4, I'm going to show you it's exactly the same thing even if you've got information in a table. No problem. Here we go. So, question says, the table shows the batting statistics for one season for Derek Jeter of the New York Yankees. If he had 639 at-bats, what percentage of his at-bats were singles? Round to the nearest tenth. Girls, I don't understand a word of that either. I don't know anything about New York Yankees or Derek Jeter or at-bats or singles. Doesn't matter. Let's break the question down and make it from English to maths. That's all we're interested in. Here we go. So, the question starts from here. What percentage of his at-bats were singles? So I've written it here. Here's your English. What percentage of his at-bats were singles? What percentage of his at-bats were singles? Okay, so we're going to change this to maths, but it's going to be a little bit harder because we've got some information in the table. So I found, there you go, singles. So where I see the word singles, I'll replace it with 151. Where I see the word at-bats, I'm going to have to replace it with the number 639. Okay, so I've got singles and I've got at-bats. And I've got a word here called were. We'll look at that in a minute. So let's see what we can change. What percentage, so there you go, what percentage of, so times, his at-bats. Well, we just had a look that his at-bats were 639. So that number changes to 639. It was in the question, you just had to look for it. Okay? So you're looking for the word at-bats. You see the word at-bats in the question. Derek had 639 at-bats. So wherever you see this at-bats, you're going to change it for this number here. Now we have the word were. There's no is. Is, we know, is equals. Okay? In English, if you're talking about one thing, you say is. If you're talking about more than one thing, you say were. Is the girl clever? Were the girls clever? But it's the same verb. And so in here, were is also equals. Okay? So the word were, because they're asking about his bats, plural. So we're going to use the word were. So if you see the word were, it's also for equals. And then singles, how are we going to find singles? We're going to come over to the table here, and we're going to look there, and the number is 151. There you go. From English to maths, a little bit harder because we had a long worded question and we had tables with the data in it. But it's the same principle. So working out the maths, and I'll go straight over to the calculation and show you the answer. So you should get 23.63067293, but they said round to the nearest tenth, so I'm looking at that number. I look at the number after to see if I keep or round up. I keep, so the final answer is 23.6. So if you work on this maths here and you cross multiply, you should get an answer of 23.6. So same principle, English to maths. Write the English sentence down. Go back to the question and ask yourself, what were the at-bats? What does it mean, his at-bats? Well, in the question, at-bats is written there. 639 at-bats. What do you mean by the word were? Well, in English, what's were? Were means is, but when you're talking about more than one. So we're going to use equals, just like we would with is. It's the same. And then singles, they asked about the singles. Well, if you look in the table, you'll find that the word singles is there, and it gives you that the number of singles is 151. So we can write the number of singles as 151. So all the information is there. Can you find it? Can you put it in? Can you do the calculations? So take your time, have a look at this example, see if you could do it again by yourself. Don't forget it asked for the nearest tenth. So make sure your answer is to the nearest tenth. So now pause the video and see if you can do question got it for A. Now you need the same table up here. You need the same table here. So I'll get rid of all of this. Again, I've written the question to start you off, and it says, to the nearest tenth, again, be careful with this. You don't want to get your final answer and then not write it to the nearest tenth. To the nearest tenth, what percentage of Derek Jett's at-bats were strikeouts? What percentage of Derek Jett's at-bats were strikeouts? So I've written the word is there to help you. Okay, again, pause the video and have a go. Okay, so did you find what percent, so we've got question mark with a percent, of Derek Jett's at-bats. Derek Jett's at-bats are 639. They don't change. Were is the same as is. Strikeouts. Where's strikeouts? Look in the table and you will find it. So the number is 100. His strikeouts were 100. Okay, so once again, nice and easy. Cross multiply and you will get 100 times 100, because you're going to take this 100 here over to the top. And then you're going to take this number here and it will be divided, so it will go down the bottom. So 100 times 100 divided by 639. Your answer will be... Now again, we need it to the nearest tenth, so be careful with this. Your full answer will be 15.64945227. Did you get that as well on the calculator? If not, go back and check. Now we want it to the nearest tenth, so we want this digit. We're going to look at the next digit. It's a 4. Does it change it? No. So we keep our answer as 15.6. Okay. That was question 4A. Pause the video. Make sure you can do this question. If you were stuck on it and I've explained it to you, go back and have a go yourself. Now let's have a look at 4B. Pause the video. You must try yourself. Even if you think it's different or confused, pick out the English. Just pick out the English. Change it to maths. It's the same technique every time. Okay, so for 4B, we have financial literacy. The number of mutual funds that increased in value during the third quarter of the fiscal year was 15. If this is 60% of the total number of mutual funds offered, how many mutual funds were offered? My goodness, I don't even like that question, but I'm going to show you that it's exactly the same method. So let's have a go here. The number of mutual funds that increased in value during the third quarter of the fiscal year was 15. Remember I told you were is the same as is. It's also the same as was. All of these in maths mean the same thing, equals. So if you see a were or an is or a was, it's all the same as equals in maths. Let's see if we can... So we know it was 15, so we know we're going to have an equals 15 somewhere. Okay, there's going to be an equals 15 somewhere in our question, in our when we go from English to maths. Let's see if we can make our English. If this is 60% of the total, let's write that. If this is 60% of the total... Now, lots of things here that I have no idea where they're coming from, but it'll all make sense, don't worry. If this is 60% of the total number of mutual funds, I'm going to write this up like that, mutual funds offered, how many mutual funds were offered? So, basically they're asking us to find the total number of mutual funds. They've written here, if this is, I'm going to go back slightly. If this then is 60% of the total number of mutual funds. And we're trying to find this number here, the mutual funds. We're trying to find it. That's our question mark. Because the question said, how many mutual funds were offered? Yani, you want to find this number here, the number of mutual funds. Let's see if we can do that. What do they mean if this? What is this if this? If you read the sentence before, it says the number of mutual funds that increased in value during the third quarter of the fiscal year was 15. So when they say if this, they're talking about the 15. So they're saying if this, what is this? This is the 15. This is equals 60%, we know what that is, of, that's the times, the total number of funds. That's our question mark. They asked us to find how many mutual funds. How many mutual funds? We're trying to find mutual funds. So that's our question mark there. So in our sentence, they said, if this. What is this? You have to go back in the sentence to find out. Just before they say, if this, what was this? It has to be what they were just talking about a minute ago. Okay? If you say, this is a book, you're talking about something close to you. You're talking about something that's close to you. That can either mean that it's next to you, it's not far away. Then you would say, that is a book. So when they say, if this, they're talking about something that they just talked about, just mentioned. They just talked about the fiscal years was 15. So when they say, if this, they're talking about the number that they just mentioned. So go back in the question and see what number they're just talking about. If this is equals 60% of is times, okay? So is of the total number of mutual funds. Well, they're asking us at the end how many mutual funds are offered. So this is what we're trying to find. So again, we will cross multiply and we will find that question mark is equal to, and I'll show you all where the numbers will go. It will be 15 times 100 divided by 60. Let's work that out. And we should get an answer of 25. How many mutual funds were offered? 25 mutual funds were offered. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to do guided practice, and I'm going to ask you to do as many of the questions as you can. I'm setting all of the questions. This is going to be fantastic revision for you for your exams that are up and coming. So please watch the video twice if you have to, until you understand it. And then whichever questions you need help with guided practice, I'll make some more videos or I'll help you in class. Thank you, girls.